Congratulations to all of you, and most of you get written questions for me. I'm going to start with Mr. Ho. I think I'm going to carry on in a very general question that you just responded to from the chairman, but I want to direct it to some specific things you've said. Quote, it seems reasonable to give deference to the views of the average inner city resident over those of the Second Amendment civil libertarians, end of quote. You have also suggested that the First Amendment should be interpreted as protecting minority groups but not others. Could you please explain the legal basis for the idea that the Bill of Rights protections change based upon what community a person is in?
Thank you for those questions, Ranking Member Grassley. I believe you're referring to a pair of law review articles that I wrote about a decade ago. One was about the Heller decision, and I want to make clear that the Supreme Court has held that there's an individual right to keep and bear arms under the Second Amendment, which lower court judges, including myself, if I were fortunate to be confirmed, would be bound to apply, and I'd have no hesitation in applying it. The second article, I believe, referred to the issue of anonymity and the First Amendment. And the Supreme Court held in NAACP versus Alabama that there are protections that relate to anonymity in terms of group membership, particularly when one is a member of a group that is treated with hostility or a disfavored minority. And I believe I was referring to the Supreme Court's precedent in that area.
Okay. In another interview you gave, 2013, you described yourself as, quote, unquote, a wild-eyed sort of liberal, or no, wild-eyed sort of leftist, end of quote, who is, quote, accused sometimes of seeing racial discrimination everywhere I look, end of quote. In 2017, you wrote that a colleague of yours asked you, quote, Dale, do you do what you do because you want to help people or because you hate conservatives, end of quote. You replied, quote, for me, righteous indignation can provide a sense of moral clarity and motivate the long hours needed to get the work done, end of quote. So question, given your commitment to progressive politics and your apparent anger at conservatives, how can parties who come before you be confident that you'll be a fair and impartial judge?
Thank you for that question, Ranking Member Grassley. The 2017 remark, I believe you're referring to something that I stated in church, where I was referring to a joke that a friend of mine had told, and I think I was trying to make the opposite point. The first principle of my religious faith is a respect for the worth and dignity of all people, and the point that I was trying to make is that when someone gets angry, sometimes you can feel a kind of rush of power from that, but it's not sustaining. It's not something that can motivate you in the long run. That if you want to do good works in this world, it has to come from a different place, a place of love for your fellow human.
Okay. My last question to you would be this. Since 2014, as a professor of New York University's Racial Justice Clinic, according to your syllabus, you teach critical race theory, telling students they will become, quote, familiar with theories of race in the law, including critical race theory, and will explore how these theories can help in developing legal strategies. So in your view, how should critical race theory factor into interpreting the law?
Thank you for that question, Ranking Member Grassley. The role of a judge is not to make or apply academic theories. The role of a judge is to apply precedent to the specific facts of the cases that come before the court. And I'm not aware of any precedent that makes academic theories of that sort a relevant consideration for a court.
Okay. Ms. Vidal, you have experience, very much experience litigating patent cases. Based on your experience, what are the biggest issues currently with the patent system? But I'd like to be a little specific in this sense. And I don't expect a lot of examples, but give me at least one example of policies enacted in previous patent office directors would you keep in place and which would you change? Maybe one of each.
Thank you, Senator Grassley. In terms of what happened in the prior administration, I know that there were policies set forth, including on 101 on patent eligibility. I think that is an area that is always deserving of attention because the law is not set. It's very, as every single federal circuit judge has said, that it's very difficult to understand the contours of the law. So that is something that I would certainly always revisit to make sure that any guidelines are consistent with the law. They are right now, and that they're promoting innovation.
Thank you.
Thanks, Senator Grassley. Senator Leahy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, I would note I'm very impressed by the 4 nominees for